Hi, I'm District 6 Councilmember Chris Judd. Welcome to my council conversation show. The White Tank Mountain Regional Park is the jewel of the West Valley and the largest regional park in Maricopa County at nearly 30,000 acres. Because it lies in close proximity to our city boundaries, City Council is dedicated to finding solutions to balancing economy-boosting growth with the sustainability of the mountain's natural and cultural resources. That's why we are a charter member of the White Tank Mountain Conservancy. Today I'm talking with the Conservancy's Executive Director, Les Meyers.
Hi.
Les, welcome to the show.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
Well, it wasn't a long drive, I hope?
No, with the 303, it's a cinch.
Nice
Flyer
quick
up the
run
highway.
Yeah. So I've got a handful of questions I'm going to ask you here.
Okay.
All right. So it's often referred to as the crown jewel of the West Valley. Tell us a little bit about the White Tank Mountains and the area it encompasses.
Well, we really, when we started out, thought we do want to have it identified as the crown jewel, because I really think it is. It's the most alive mountain probably in the metropolitan area of Phoenix, in that it hasn't been exposed to getting surrounded by development.
Okay.
And so we thought, well, all right, we've got to figure out a way to keep this mountain alive, because it's an ecological balance. And I won't go into Ecology 101 because I didn't even take that.
You would have had a lot of fun if you would have.
Well, I would have, but I'm sorry I didn't. But we got a lot of people who do know it, including ASU, so I'm backed up big time.
Yeah, you got some neat people working on this.
We often said, well, Phoenix has its Camelback. Well, we've got the White Tank Mountains.
Right.
And one of the things that make it so unique is the fact that it's alive. There are mountain lions and deer. It's one of the largest deer populations in the state, the mule deer.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot to see when you go there, and it's just a magnificent thing to have in and around, and everybody enjoys it. I said, if you can see it, you need to support it, is what we've been saying.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. You can see it pretty far too.
Well, and you all were one of the first to step up and join this. With us. We haven't had a city mayor yet that didn't say, oh, we're so glad finally somebody's doing it. Everybody's worrying about how we're going to protect this thing.
Yeah.
And we like to use the word support more than protect, because we're not about trying to stop anything. We just want to
keep it alive.
Collaborative with everybody and keep it going.
Right. Keep the deer there, keep the populations healthy. It's a nice place to go. There's a couple of parks in there.
Well, we have Skyline Park, which is Buckeye, and then the regional park.
Right.
But the mountain is 7 miles long, so this is not some small little pile of rock over here.
No, in fact, 30,000 acres, I mean, that works out to be about 46, 47 square miles.
It's a great park, and if you really look at this whole Maricopa County, you can now cross one end to the other on trails that are all connected at this point. And then one of our missions was to make sure that our trails connect, whether they be coming in from Surprise, our city borders, or from Verado, or from Skyline, or whatever. So you're not getting in there and run into a dead end. That wouldn't be fun.
Right. Well, the mission of the Conservancy is to inspire all to conserve and enjoy the natural and cultural resources of the White Tank Mountains. Can you elaborate on what cities are involved and what this entails?
Yeah. When we started it, we quickly realized that we wanted the cities to be a partner with it, that it was going to, because there's such a recreational benefit to that mountain, and many people who live in any one of our cities come out there and enjoy it.
Right.
So the first thing we did was, in fact, I think the first mayor I met was Mayor Goodyear, Georgia Lord, and she gave me a hug when I came in. That was nice. And she said, we want to see this happen. So then we called on every mayor. We've been working on all the cities to join up, because it's everybody's benefit. It was interesting. Not long ago, about a year or so ago, we decided to join up with Westmark, and they've been a part of this from the beginning. Westmark has. Right. But I was telling Todd one day, I said, let's get on the Economic Development Committee and the Quality of Life Committee, because that's what this mountain is about. Yeah, there's a huge contribution to the economics of this whole area. People, that in that regional park alone, there's over 270,000 people a year that come into that park.
Jeez.
And they're not, there's a lot of them from around the world. I look at that register in there a lot of times and say, my gosh, it's like 80% are from all over the country. And then you have the Skyline Park. There's upwards to 300,000 people have gone through that new park, and that's only a couple of years old.
Right.
So this thing, and then I got into the outdoor industry thing not long ago because we're trying to explain to our city partners the economic benefit. Because you know, when you first started, we would talk to the mayors, and the mayors think it's a good idea, but the city council had some justifiable questions like, well, if we don't border the mountain, what does that mean to us? And then they quickly realized that it's an economic development generator. It's an economic generator.
Well, and it's a quality of life issue as well.
It is.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I went on the outdoor industry, find out it's over $20 billion a year is contributed to the economy of the state of Arizona alone based on outdoor recreation. Now that includes retailers and bike seller, you know, all that kind of stuff.
But still,
I mean, look at that.
it's something we all love to do, or many of us anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like to bike, right?
Yeah.
I know
I
you
like
do.
getting out there. I like hiking, especially the White Tanks. It's close, it's easy.
Oh, you won't see trails like that anywhere else. That's
No,
for sure.
not without getting deep into the forest or out in the back desert. So, and you touched on this a little bit, and with the way the West Valley is growing, we know that the White Tank Mountains will eventually be completely surrounded by developments.
Right.
So how do plans to conserve the White Tanks affect plans to develop around the White Tanks?
The first thing we realized when we got this put together, that the west flank of that mountain, pretty much the west side, and upward toward the north and northeast, the development's coming there. And the first thing we wanted to do was to make sure that everybody realizes that this conservancy is not about protecting. We're not a tree hugger saying we're against growth or development or anything else. But how do we find a collaborative way with everyone, developers, the city, your city, other cities? How do we together develop around this mountain without sealing off these corridors?
Right.
And that's a tough thing to do because, for one thing, unless you really look at it, and we didn't realize it as much as we did. The first thing that we did when we started this is that almost the first week, I had a chance to meet over at City of Buckeye with two folks from Arizona Game and Fish.
Okay.
And in that meeting, they were talking about these corridors, and that was the first time I had given a whole lot of thought about a corridor. You know, you look at 7 miles of that mountain, and you think, man, there's enough space in there for everybody, right?
Right.
But it isn't, because ecologically they move out. They'll go out to the Belmonts, up to the Vulture Mountain.
And that's what the corridors are for.
Yeah,
This is where the animals
they've
migrate.
been established for eons. It's in their DNA. They're going to go, right? Seek out mates and all these other fun things they do.
Right.
So we thought, okay, how are we going to preserve this? And in that conversation, we realized that we really needed to look at how are we going to support those corridors and keep them open and alive during this and through the development, because this will go on for 20, 30 years, you know, before.
Or more, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You just don't know how the growth will go. But we have plenty of examples around here of how not to do it, and that is Camelback and South Mountain. And, you know, it's not because no one gives a thought to it, because it just wasn't in the planning years ago.
Right.
So now we have really looked at this and said, there's a way to do this. It won't be exactly like you always did it, but what's wrong with innovation, right? Let's just do something different.
Yeah, and so I think the idea that you're getting at is that with the developments coming in here, it's not that you haven't been going against the developers saying, you know, don't do this, don't do that. I think talk a little bit more about ways that you've talked to developers to make this profitable for them.
Yeah, well, the first thing, if you look at it, the developer has in their mind what they're going to do with this particular boundaries of what they just bought and are going to develop. And it's an opportunity to sit down with them and say, there is another way to do it. So it's a matter of taking the science. We wanted to know what we were talking about before we started to talk about it.
Right.
So we reached out to ASU, the Institute for Global Sustainability, and they jumped all over it and helped us and really created some pretty innovative, I don't know if you saw that video or not.
I did, yeah.
Okay. So what we did was put together something to say, okay, what it would be like if you did do it differently. How's it going to look and how's it going to feel to live there?
Yeah.
And it was fun. I mean, we worked for a year and a half with the students over there and created this, a day in the life of a city that's backed up to a wildlife corridor. Instead of you're backing up to a golf course, you're backed up to a wildlife corridor.
Right, and then there's hiking trails. And
Yeah, so that's right. So you connect the trails and that mobility of those animals moving through over the years. Everybody gets a chance to really experience a whole different thing. And in that, they even talked about, because there's a mandate on our education. We keep talking about education all the time. It seems like how can you ever get it right? But they're talking now about having a school where the kids are out in the middle of all this. The school's at the edge of the...
Oh, that'd be neat.
Wouldn't that be cool?
You have to shut down the soccer game while you're waiting for the deer to go through?
Yeah, right. Well, something like that. That might work.
Yeah.
We're not having soccer fields in the migratory corridor,
No.
sorry.
Maybe the flood part, right?
Well, yeah, right, that'll work.
Okay. Yeah, so that sounds nice, though, especially the golf course example. You know, you get nice open spaces there. This makes the land more valuable for the developers, so they don't have to develop side to side to side.
Yeah.
We can get them
You know, and to that point, the demographics have already proven that people today are more interested in access to recreation, access to outdoor hiking. You know, kids, young people today, and even the age-restricted communities that we have around here, that their objective is to be access to education and to being out in the outdoors rather than worrying about playing golf. It's an age-old statistic, and I'm not against golf, believe me, but 20% of the people that live on golf courses play golf. I mean,
right.
So
the rest of them just like the nice open space.
So why not have a corridor out there?
Yeah, less maintenance, less watering.
Exactly.
Well, let's see. So the White Tank Conservancy has been evolving since 2014 when it started.
Right.
And what has the group accomplished thus far? And what are some of the Conservancy's short and long-term goals?
It's funny because when I thought about that long-term goal, when you look at the potential growth, and basically we're talking about the west side of that mountain, that flank that flanks the west side.
Right.
And even in Surprise, if you look at what you're looking at to do up in the north end and trying to connect up to the mountain there, it's a combination. The short term was to get the word out. The short term, and we've got about 6 committee, or I shouldn't call them committees, they're really focus groups that talk about, and when we pulled it together, we talked about regional planning and partnerships, and that was including Westmec and Maricopa County. R.J. Cardin's on our board. And then we talked about education and outreach. You know, and that is really a key to help people understand how, when they go out and see everything that they're in that mountain when they're hiking it, you just sort of, oh my God, there's a deer, or there's this, or there's that.
Right.
But if we don't help them understand how we have to keep that open in order for them to see those, it won't be long before there won't be any.
Right.
Right. And then you got stewardship and volunteerism. The stewardship, these are all volunteers. We started out on our short term, we started out looking for how can we build a volunteer base, because they're everything to the mountain.
Right.
You know, they're the ones, they're the backbone of it. You can't believe how many people just jumped up at it. We probably now have 120 volunteers, and we started out, actually we formulated this in 14, but we really got kicked off in 15 once we got our 501c3 and started getting identifying what we need to do, which is the short term and long term.
Right.
And it turned out that the volunteers come in and they'll help people, guide them through, the people that visit the park, you know, meet and talk to them about what's in there. I forgot to bring it, we got a nice book now that talks about all the animals and plants that are in there. People can walk along with that. But we have people that are out there to help people select a trail and know what it's doing. And then we did the advocacy and public policy, which is really keeping abreast of what is going on in the state with the state legislature and so on, and then tourism and public attraction. And then the research and restoration. So there are 6 focus groups that we've been trying to get established. And this is an interesting thing. When we first started out, we reached out to Maricopa County Parks and Rec. Okay. Because of their, in CASCA, the Central Arizona Conservation Alliance, that's a part over there with DBG, the Desert Botanical Garden.
Okay.
But they are a Southwest coalition of Southwest Conservancy efforts, bringing the city partners into it. Let's see, who am I missing? County, state. We need to work with the land trust, state land trust, because they own a lot of dirt around that mountain.
Oh yeah, the state.
And
Yeah.
we want to work with them. So that's going to be another challenge on a long term.
Right. Game and Fish Department.
Yeah, Game and Fish. As I said earlier, we reached out right away. We got connected with them, and Dana Warnicki and Scott Sprague, some of those folks have been on top of it from the very beginning, helping us. Because we really wanted to bring the science to it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we reached out to Arizona's, the Institute for Global Sustainability at ASU, and they are all over it with us because they realize that this is a real opportunity.
Yeah. So with all that, what is so the short-term goal is really just awareness and education.
Education outreach.
And then so the long-term goal, I guess. So 50 years from now, looking back on it all, what would you like to have seen have happened?
We were able to maintain and support those corridors. They didn't get blocked off, and the mountain is still living for
vibrant.
Yours, your kids, and my kids. Although I won't be around for that, but at least if I am, it's going to be very unusual.
Maybe we'll be uploading our consciousness by then, right?
There you go. But it is the long term is that we have an opportunity to create something that it's really. The mayor of Buckeye had an interesting comment this morning. He said, we have an opportunity to start a city from scratch. And to take this from some of our city partners that are already, they're not connected to the mountain physically, but they are economically and they are recreationally and so on, right? Everybody has a stake in this mountain.
Yeah, so you're building partnerships too.
We
to
are,
make sure we
yeah,
have,
and everybody sees that. That's what they want to see happen. And how many people do you know that come out there and go hiking all the time?
Oh, my wife goes all the time. She loves it.
Biking and hiking, and I mean, we've got a great nature center and a library out there. That library is awesome. So there's so much for everybody in the West Valley, and I like the idea of even Westmark. When you think of it, we have 15 communities with one voice, in a sense, which I like because we all have a stake in this. We really do. People. Somebody's coming out here to go to that mountain, they're either staying at a hotel around here or something, right? They're going to the restaurants, they're doing all.
Right, yeah. They live out here, they have family out here, and they're supporting the rest of the economy out here.
Exactly.
Right. Well, so my family and I really appreciate and love the outdoors, and I'm honored to be part of the White Tank Conservancy Advisory Board. But I'd like to know a little bit about your background and how you got involved with the nonprofit.
That was, I call it divine intervention. It's so amazing. My whole background's been real estate development. I've been on consulting groups. I was part of a team building for different disciplines for corporations that had real estate problems around the country, that kind of thing. But I started out in a local real estate firm of my own. I'm from Northwest Indiana originally.
Oh yeah.
And then I worked as consulting groups and so on, and I just have a good diverse real estate background. I worked on a major disposition on a major development down in Florida. And when I got started out here, came out here to do a project for a friend of ours over in the East Valley, and I called my wife one day and I said, what are we doing in Northwest Indiana? The sun's out here all the time, let's move out here. It wasn't on my radar until then. So it was, I'll be short with it. A friend of mine, I had taken some time off, and a friend of mine said, I was looking for something to do, so he said, why don't you contact Experience Matters and see what they got over there. So I did. I sent my resume over, and the next day I got a phone call, and I'm going to meet Todd Hornback, right?
Yeah.
So DMB, the developers of Verado, and we're also instrumental in McDowell-Sonoran Conservancy. And so...
And Marley Park as well.
In Marley Park, yeah. And so we met up, and he said, yeah, we're going to go meet the mayor of Buckeye, and we did that. And from then on, every single thing that's happened has been a step forward and an added piece that we needed from because of my background. And it is interesting because, conservancy, so much of it is restoration. We have an opportunity to prevent having to restore anything, keep it without having to half destroy it and then patch it back up.
Right.
So
And you can
it's-
never make it the same again when you're trying
no,
to patch
you
it up.
can't. And so it was meant to be. I mean, I really believe that because
Yeah.
everybody who stepped up, including you and the City of Surprise and every other city here, has seen the value of it. So, I mean, how are we going to go wrong?
Right. Well, and you're doing a great job building partnerships up. You get the partnerships, you get the buy-in, you get the awareness.
It is. It's all about collaboration and working together.
Right.
And you all know it. I mean, I think the cities here are just amazing in how you all succeed with fast growth and control it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we do better with some things than others. So.
Who's perfect?
Yeah. Well, not me. So every month, the Conservancy offers an educational speaker series that's open to the public.
Right.
So what can you tell us about that?
Well, we started that just this past year by seeking out, and comes from some of our volunteers that have different disciplines or different education. We have a couple that handle snakes. They're one of my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, so somebody like that. We have, and we reach out to like Audubon Society, and so there are all of these organizations, Wildlife, Liberty Wildlife, people like that, and they'll come out and do a presentation. We typically do it, try to do it once a month, but it's something that gives something that'll pique people's interest in what's going on out there. So it's a speaker series that we just publicize it. It's on the website for the regional park as well as the Conservancy's website. And as much as we can reach out to our cities and get it onto that, which we have to do a better job of, by the way.
So do you do it at certain increments, or is it?
It's kind of like whoever we can
happens?
get. Yeah, it's not as scheduled every month.
Okay.
It's as we've been trying to get something of interest up every month, and we'll continue to do that. And a lot of that is done with the regional park itself, because they sponsor a lot of very interesting things out there with the ranger and the people that are on staff.
Yeah, and they
So
keep a calendar on their.
Yes, they do. Yeah, for your folks, reach out, look at that calendar, go on the website for the Maricopa County Parks and White Tank Mountain Regional.
Okay.
And there'll be a whole schedule of what's going on.
Okay.
And the library there does also some very good
Oh,
programs.
that's a nice library too.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I don't see how you can sit down and read when you're getting
I
that view.
know.
What is that? Just everybody we take out there, they walk there and go, oh my gosh. It's beautiful.
It really is. They
How
did
do
a
you
good job
concentrate on
with it.
reading when you look out that window?
Great big open window to the mountains. And all right. So my last question: many of our residents have a strong sense of community and enjoy volunteering and supporting things that enhance our community and quality of life. So what opportunities are available to participate and support the White Tanks Conservancy, and just how can people get involved?
Yeah, well, one of the interesting things we have is a budding botanist program, people that are interested. And even if you don't know a lot about plants, you might want to learn, right?
Right.
So part of that is in that restoration and protecting the species that are out there. So there's a program out there for folks who want to are interested in that. Our science, we have a group now that one of the most interesting things to that point, we had a woman here about 2 or 3 months ago. She's like a whirlwind. She's amazing. She wanted to start a wellness program. And, you know, there's now a lot of science behind and proof that being out in nature, and that's been going on for years with, you know, young people that are stressed and come and get out in nature helps get balanced.
Breath of fresh air and a walk.
So this wellness program has really taken off, and it's all about we're going to work with Obrazo and some of the hospitals to bring, it's proven that people that are recovering from whether it's a serious illness or addictions or post-traumatic syndrome, whatever, getting out there there's something about being out there, and you know it. Anybody who goes
even
out
just
there,
a long work week getting out there is therapeutic.
Really,
It
is. So those programs, and then people who are interested in just being a volunteer, what we call an ambassador, go out and just talk to people who come into the park and talk about what's there and get their interest. And then the other programs we talked about, the tourism, and I have to always research this because I'll forget something. But there's especially the research and restoration and education outreach. I think the outreach for now is really one of the most important things we can do, because it is. And you can help with that. You are great on your feet, but we tell a lot of people who are a little intimidated by it, don't be afraid to just talk about the Conservancy. Or we do we do a lot of presentations. We have a mascot. Rudy is the road runner. We've got so everybody's got a mascot.
Runner, huh?
We got one too. And we take him to different places, or her, or whatever you want to call him, and give them an opportunity. They can wear the suit if they want to.
Okay.
But they can also come in and help us when we go to these outreach or wherever we have a table set up. They can come and just talk to people about what's there. We have the maps, and so we'll go to various programs that the city sponsor, and we take a table. We've got a nice cover and a bunch of stuff to take out there and show people. So that's a big one for us right now,
Okay.
to get established.
It'll help with the
Get
outreach
people
and the-
aware.
Yeah.
This helps a lot, being able to be on a program like this and talk to all the people. We'll see it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We'll probably get a call from
Somebody,
somebody.
hopefully.
Maybe CNN wants to do a story.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Les, thank you very much for being on the
You're
show.
welcome. I enjoyed it. This is
And
fun.
yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for asking us up and to do this, because I think that's exactly what we should be doing.
Yeah, getting
You
out
got
and
it.
talking about it. And again, you make it a lot easier. Talking to you makes it a lot easier to understand what's happening there.
I hope so.
And
Thanks.
ways to talk intelligently about
Yeah.
about what's going on and how we can help. And
Well, if I talked intelligent, I'm glad to know that.
well, thank you for watching my show. If you have any questions or comments for me, please reach out by phone or email. I also welcome you to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, which is filled with the latest city information and news. Just click on the Notify Me button on my website to sign up. Thanks for watching.